The big story at this hour, Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired a high-level security meeting a little while back at his official residence in New Delhi. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, Chief of Defence Staff General Anil Chauhan and the Chiefs of Army, Navy and Air Force were also present in the meeting. The development comes just a day before the meeting of the Prime Minister-led Cabinet Committee on Security. And for more on that, I'm joined by my colleague Amit Mukherjee, who's tracking the story. Amit, do we know some details as to what really transpired in this meeting that the Prime Minister chaired of the top security establishment of the country?
Yes, Amrit, in fact, this was a very, very critical meeting which Prime Minister chaired. And in fact, you rightly mentioned the Chief of Defence Staff was there, the National Security Advisor was there. All the three heads of India's defence wings, they were there. Now, this meeting took stock of what is the prevailing situation, what had happened in the last 4 days. Now, if you recall, Pakistan has repeatedly been creating, some sort of unrest along the LOC, which the Indian Defence Forces were actually retaliating to. In fact, Indians have only been taking retaliatory measures as to the unprovoked firing which has been happening from the Pakistan side. Now, during this meeting, it is understood that Prime Minister has given a free hand to all the defence forces to take actions as and when required. There's no looking back now. One has to India will be giving befitting reply at every point. Now, apart from what has been happening at the LOC, the Prime Minister also took, a review of the defence preparedness, whether it's the Navy, whether it's the Army or the Air Force. What is our preparedness at this point in time? In fact, the Prime Minister's meeting, if I can mention it, it was a back-to-back meeting. One meeting was chaired by Prime Minister, and before that, Home Minister Amit Shah had also chaired a high-level meeting of, to take stock of the internal security of the country. In fact, he had meetings with senior leaders from the intelligence wing and, the various other wings which looks after India's internal security. And he has also, in fact, during the whole day, as far as Jammu and Kashmir is concerned, the security forces in Jammu and Kashmir has been involved in a lot of combing operations, flushing out operations. In fact, they had zeroed in on a lot of terrorist sites when they are taking actions on that. If one can recall, the terrorists who were allegedly involved in this whole incident, their houses have been razed, and also they have identified accomplices, who could have given them the ground level support to carry out this incident where 28 people were killed. So, it's a comprehensive meeting that has been taking place over the last 4 or 5 hours, and it's a complete stock-taking situation as to what has happened so far. How do we go ahead? In fact, another thing is that, another crucial thing which came up during the discussion is also the cyber attacks which has been happening, from the Pakistan side onto various military installations and websites of, army and defense institutions of India. In fact, 10K hackers identified from Pakistani sides, they have been constantly trying to disrupt, the websites of Indian, defense as well as other institutions, which Indian cyber experts have constantly been kind of thwarting. They had kind of not let those hackers penetrate into the Indian this thing. So, it's a multi-pronged strategy, and, that was discussed during the meeting, and what sort of a response India would have to each and every, kind of disruption and, all sorts of
violations
which Pakistan has been indulging, whether it's at the LOC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amit, you say essentially the meeting took stock of the security of the defense preparedness of the country, and also gave a free hand to the defense forces to respond accordingly and in equal measure for any kind of adventurism that the Pakistan army may indulge in, which is ongoing for the past 6 days in ceasefire violations. But those are really defensive measures. The Prime Minister has said, at least on 2 occasions, that the perpetrators of the Pahalgam attack and their backers shall be brought to justice. After that, this whole talk started about would there be military retribution of the kind, that we saw in 2016 or 2019. So, could offensive measures have been discussed as well, or the options on the table, the military options on the table?
Well, Amrit, nothing is ruled out at this point in time. If you look back at what the Prime Minister had said, that he is going to now strike, India is now going to strike at the root of terrorism. It's not that, it's for the first time, Pakistan has been indulging in all sorts of disruptive activities time and again, and India has been responding. But India has always been a very, very responsible country. It has been, whether it's in terms of being an economic leader or in terms of doing business or maintaining diplomatic relations with various leaders and countries across the world. So India's response has always been very, very measured. But at this point in time, as far as the recent incident is concerned, Prime Minister has categorically maintained that nobody will be spared. People who have been disrupting peace, tranquility, and economic development in India will be punished. They will be brought to justice. And precisely this has what been discussed. Again, going by what India has always been doing, believing in measured actions. Nothing is ruled out, but yes, preparedness has been taken care of. Every situation that has been happening has been evaluated, looked into, and Prime Minister has given a clear-cut instruction to all the defense forces that in case of any eventuality, any unpleasant situation, any unprovoked situation by Pakistan, a befitting action, a befitting reply must be given. But again, coming back to your question, we are not ruling out any military action at this point in time. The Indian forces are ready. That's exactly what this meeting was for. Not only at the borders, the government is also taking very, very strict action, very, very decisive actions as far as dealing with insurgents who are, if intelligence bureaus inputs are still to be believed, there are militants who are still holed up in the valley, which the Indian authorities and the defense as well as the security forces are trying to flush out. They're trying to pull them out from their hideouts. Amrit?
Okay. And Amit, when it comes to, because all the three service chiefs were there, Defense Minister, of course, was there, and the CDS was there.
Right.
CDS primarily has been brought in that office to coordinate a more effective response between all the three forces. So, I know this is in the realm of speculation. The government wouldn't announce it if they have to take any military offensive, because if they announce it, then the surprise element goes out. And the enemy, prepares itself for that. But, I understand it's a speculative question, but could it be a tri-services operation, if at all that is on the table? And as you say, nothing is ruled out.
Well, Amrit, you have been covering defense and you also understand and you have seen in the past. Whenever India has mounted any offensive against Pakistan or its neighbors or rogue neighbors in the past, if I may say so, it has been a combined effort of all the forces. Whenever there's military involved, they get a fantastic support as far as the air defense is concerned. And also we have seen in the past that Indian naval fleets have been very, very active in terms of diffusing any efforts by the rogue neighbors. Not just diffusing,
imposing naval blockades, as we did in the case of Karachi Harbour, remember?
That's exactly what I was trying to say. In the past also we saw the kind of support, the multilateral support which the Indian defense forces and the kind of coordination they have been having in the past. And it was, all the war which India has won in the past, it was a combined effort of all the defense forces who gave their, they played each played a very, very crucial and important role as far as the entire, offensive was concerned against any enemy which kind of challenged India in the past. So even this time, and this was again all the defense chiefs of the three wings of defense forces, the CDS, they came together, and that again is symbolic of the kind of coordination we might look into going ahead with the action, military action which India might launch
if and when it takes place
required.
And sorry.
To say the least, they are absolutely prepared at any given point in time right now.
Clear, absolutely. So the signaling, Amit, is very clear. If you come into our home and hit us where it hurts, we'll hit you back, whether on the seas, whether on land, whether on air, without at the risk of sounding jingoistic. But the message is very, very clear. If you hit us, we'll hit you back. Thank you, Amit Mukherjee, for joining us for the moment.